Hi, welcome everyone to another edition of Three Questions with Andrew. I am joined today by Charlotte Voisey. Welcome, Charlotte, to Three Questions with Andrew. Can you sort of just share a little bit about who you are before we get going?
Sure, and thank you so much for having me. Super excited. I'm Charlotte Voisey, and I'm the newly appointed Executive Director of the Tales of the Cocktail Foundation.
Excellent. I shared earlier that Tales of the Cocktail has a special place in my heart. One, when I was thinking about Cut Above and creating it, I knew it had to work for bars and bartenders as a non-alcoholic option. And so as we were building it, before we even sold our first bottle, we spent that summer activating at Tales of the Cocktail to just understand what's important to the industry, what hasn't worked before, what can work better, and just bringing that. And we've been there every summer since. It's probably the event each year that I look forward to the most. So I'm so happy that you're there in a leadership role. I can't wait to see the amazing things that you do.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it's an important event for the whole industry, so I'm delighted to be on the team.
Absolutely. All right, let's jump right in. So question one is, given your years of experience in the hospitality industry, how has it been seeing the evolution of non-alcoholic options from when you first started hearing about them, the general reception and mood about them, all the way through, we're in 2025 now, what you see being the active things that are happening in the space and maybe even what you think will happen this year when it comes to non-alcoholic spirits and options.
Yeah, for sure. So I've been in the industry for about 20 years here in the US, and there's definitely been an evolution, right, in the non-alcoholic space for sure. It's funny because I think in the earlier days, say 20 years ago, um, when you asked around non-alcoholic cocktails, if you weren't drinking for whatever reason, it was usually like, oh, I can throw something together, right? Which is great. And, you appreciate the effort, but it was always an afterthought. So it wasn't ever really taken seriously, I don't think. And this was before any of the non-alcoholic spirits or zero proof spirits had been launched. So it was very much like if the bartender was in the mood to make something, then he or she would, or you'd get, a soda or something like that. So it wasn't that people didn't not drink. It was just very much an afterthought. And then slowly but surely, I think some bars kind of took the lead, took the initiative. Every once in a while, you might see like the word mocktail or virgin or non-alcoholic kind of creep into a menu. But if you think about where we are now, I think it's fair to say that every good cocktail bar has a few well thought out, very well planned, beautifully created non-alcoholic cocktails, spirit-free mocktails. The terminology is still being determined, right? But it's very much part of most serious cocktail programs. In my mind, it's just where it should have been all along. And often, when you speak to maybe a majority of the industry that do drink alcohol and would never look for a non alcoholic cocktail, they kind of don't see the issue because it doesn't pertain to them. And then you've got like a smaller minority of people who are actively seeking these out, but it's the industry isn't there yet. So they're kind of looking for it, but the industry at large isn't providing that. And I think what has happened over the last 20 years is some key people in the industry stopped drinking and are looking for those non-alcoholic options. But you've also then just got this generational shift, right, of new people choosing to drink in different ways, often without alcohol. So you've got more people asking for this from different angles. And I think that has caused a big shift in a great way so that non-alcoholics can just have literally a seat at the table, a place on the cocktail menu. It doesn't deter people from drinking other cocktails. It's just there's more variety now for everyone. So I think, long story short, there's been a lot of evolution, and I think we're in the great place, the best place this category has ever been. It's kind of been formalized, it's now respected, and most importantly, it's available in most good bars.
Yeah, absolutely. One, I love everything you just said. The particular piece, you said it was like, if it was this feeling, that it should have been there all along. And I think that's really behind why it's growing so fast. Is for the first time, right? Those that were out there, right? Part of the group for the birthday party or celebration that, weren't drinking, whatever reason, whatever duration, it felt unseen when they went into a bar. And now after so long not having options to not only feel seen, right? They could always whip up something for you. But to have like all that forethought you talked about that went into the menu, like I don't know, I think that's a great feeling, right? Everyone wants to feel included and welcome. And so, yeah, it's just a very cool, I think, unique point in time to kind of have these options available in a form and format that is just as much quality as the foolproof versions have always been in.
Yeah, and I think just to add something, if I may, it is still evolving, right? Like often I will choose non-alcoholic drinks when I'm out and about, and sometimes you'll order one from the menu, and the server or the bartender will kind of double check and make sure you know that that's a non-alcoholic cocktail, which is great and much appreciated, right? But sometimes that's also kind of um, putting the microscope back on you because if you're in that group setting, as you said, you don't want to feel kind of singled out or different. Everyone's ordering drinks. You ordered a drink with a fun name. But then sometimes that service step of reminding you and everyone else with you that you're not drinking. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just we're still evolving in this space. So
Yeah, I think that's spot on. I think the analogy I always use is kind of like vegetarianism, right, and veganism, right? It was a big deal when Andrew didn't order animal protein at first time over the dinner. Then you started to see it maybe as a little supplementary menu on the side. Then it became right part of the big menu, but it was a separate section. And now for the most part, right, it's here are the entrees, and you just read, right? Some have animal protein, some don't, and nobody talks about it. So yeah, I
yeah,
think there's still like a little bit to go, but yeah, it's cool seeing the evolution. I think it's happening really fast too.
yeah, I would agree with that for sure. It's good.
Awesome. All right, so question number two. I want to focus a little bit about Tales of the Cocktail, and let's let them be a representative of right festivals, gatherings, and those of the hospitality industry in general. What do you see as the importance of having those type of events bring in non-alcoholic, whether it's right from products and brands, right, activating, or the educational component, whether it's looking at the overall right health and the big word health of all of the workers in this industry. Tell me a little bit about the importance of having non-alc at an event like Tales.
Yeah, so the Tales of the Cocktail Foundation's mission is to educate, advance, and support the industry, right? That's the entire industry. So it's our job to reflect what's happening in the industry at Tales of the Cocktail through all of the education, through the tasting opportunities, through the parties, the brand events, everything that we do. And it's very clear that now, as we've spoken about, the non-alcoholic section category of the industry is big, but it's also exciting and it's growing and it's something that bartenders need to be informed about. So it's funny, sometimes people might assume that the programming around non-alcoholic drinks and options is for people who don't drink. I would argue it's actually for everybody. You need to understand that category just as you understand pisco or cognac or whiskey or wine cocktails. You need to understand the non-alcoholic space because your guests are asking for that. So it's actually a really key part of the industry now for all bartenders, bar owners, any industry professional to understand. And there's no better way to understand than when you can interact with the ambassadors or makers of these products at somewhere like Tales of the Cocktail. It's also, of course, very important to give everyone something delicious and interesting that they can imbibe. And as we're seeing, more and more people who come to Tales of the Cocktail don't necessarily drink alcohol. So, yes, from a more functional perspective, it's really important to have a great offering so that they feel part of things, so that they too can take a picture of a gorgeous cocktail and put it on Instagram. It just happens to have no alcohol, right? To your point earlier, they want to enjoy every aspect of drinking cocktails. So it's important for me for those two reasons, and I think that's why you see it at Tales of the Cocktail more and more, and at other trade events more and more.
Yeah, absolutely. That it's. I remember back to that first activation we did. Right, we weren't the first right brand to ever activate at Tails non-alcoholic spirit, but it was there, and it was still a little bit of a like, kind of what is this? It definitely fit. There wasn't a feeling like it didn't fit, but it was what's its place, right? How big should it be? How much right spotlight should be on it? in the years since, it kind of moved to this, okay, definitely belongs here, right? Curiosity, right? I think overwhelmed. Okay, I'm hearing about it all the time, so I want to learn about it. It's great now. I can go sample, I can talk to founders, I can talk to brand reps and learn more about it. And I even saw it this past year, and I'm really anxious to see how it comes out this year, where it was, we know what non-alcoholic is. We have, for the most part, a general understanding of how they're made. Um, a little bit about right what they are and what they aren't, which we focus on a lot when we do education. And now it's started to translate into how are you different than other brands, or how is this brand going to differentiate itself? Because there's more and more on the market. Being a fast growing industry, right? There's a lot of good and there's also a lot of bad out there. And so people talking about their experiences and finding what works for them is the overwhelming topics of conversation that I have or had last year at Tales. And so even within a specific, again, great event, and I love the way you said it, right? It's representing all in the industry, and having that again evolution over 3 or 4 years has been really cool to see. As the education component, right, has began to sort of, I guess, bear its fruits. People kind of know about it, and now it's all right. How are you different than that? Or I tried this. How does this one taste and compare?
Yeah, for sure. It's an evolution of the category, just like any other category of spirits or ingredients or drinks. And, non-alcoholic brands also have the right to express themselves and build out their brand worlds and have different personalities and entertain bartenders in the same way that liquor brands do. So I think that's what we'll see as an evolution, and that's an exciting part as well.
Yeah, I mean, we can throw good parties too. Like, and then we always say, right, it's all about that choice. I drag some bars kicking and screaming into the future, as I say. But once they see it, and once they see like the vibe that their guests give out when they see that menu on the option, and like, a lot of people, like, I still consume alcohol, and the data always shows it. Most consumers of non-alcoholic beverages are consumers of alcohol, right? And so it's this big mindful definition, or however people write sort of define it, and so it belongs. It's alongside, right, the foolproof options, and it's never this take away one to have the other. It's they both can exist, right, and they both can make delicious drinks, and they both can have great brand activation. So it's
Yeah.
been really cool to see that side by side, and a place at the table, if you will, right, for the non-alcoholic options.
Yep, for sure. It's been great.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. All right. So question number three. This one is a bit of a grab bag, so I'm anxious to see what you're going to see. This is meant for us to get to know you a little bit more. It can be right, hidden talent, favorite karaoke song, weird food combination, anything you'd like to share with us that helps us get to know you a little bit better. We'd like to hear.
Oh, okay. Well, I might save my favorite karaoke song for next time I'm in a karaoke booth. But for
Right.
now, let's see. So I'm from the UK, but I lived in Spain and Argentina for a little while before I moved to the US. So I picked up Spanish and speak Spanish quite fluently still today, which I've always been really proud of. But there was always this one country that I couldn't pronounce, and that was Nicaragua, which you'll notice I can now pronounce because halfway through my career with William Grant and Sons, everyone was excited to announce that we had picked up the sales and marketing for Florida Cana in the US. And I was like, great, that's such a fantastic rum. And then all of a sudden I realized it was from Nicaragua. And as a brand ambassador for the entire portfolio, I soon realized I'm going to have to say that word very often every day. So I was like, all right, I got to hunker down and figure this
Yeah.
out. And I did, but caught me off guard.
Yeah, no, I love it. It sounds it's exactly how it should be pronounced. Very, very cool. Yeah, and as soon as you said Nicaragua, my first thought was, ooh, Florida Caña. Like, I don't know, my brain just ties that spirit
Okay.
to that country right out of the gate.
Yeah, it's
I don't
pretty
know,
hard
very
to
cool.
talk
Thanks
about.
for
Yeah, it's hard to
yeah.
talk about Florida Cana without using that word. So I'm glad I mastered it.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's right. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Sure.
Well, that wraps up our three questions with Andrew. I want to thank you for being here with me today, sharing your insights, sharing a little bit about yourself. I want to congratulate you also on your new leadership position with Tales of the Cocktail, and I look forward to meeting in person over the summer in New Orleans.
No, fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on, and thank you for your passion and support for Tales of the Cocktail. I'm obviously feeling that, but hearing that from a lot of people. So super excited for us to all get together in July in New Orleans this year.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.